after I'm done with my presentation, you can brand me a good plumber or a not so good plumber. We'll see. Many of you know I'm embarking on an irrigation project at my home, and I'm just about ready to tie the old in with the new. I'm also all electric out there, and when you're all electric, there are certain appliances you have to be aware of when you're dealing with water, one of which is my hot water heater. If I allow the water to drop in the water tank before shutting off the power, I could burn these elements that are within the tank itself, unlike a gas system. My best laid plan, since I've fried many of those before, is to always shut off the power before shutting off the water. The next morning, on my way to the well, I shut off the power to the hot water heater and off to the well. Having a private well also, I have a well that feeds the tank, and I have a shut-off valve. I just have to shut the water, the valve off here, and then I shut off all the pressure to the downstream. That tank services the hot water heater along with all the other plumbing in the area. It's all tied together naturally. Then I embarked on cutting the lines. There were 7 in all. And unaware to myself, where my mind is saying that these lines maintain pressure in the system and volume in my hot water tank, when I cut those lines, I reversed that and I siphoned the water from my hot water. But I was safe because I had shut the power off. So I was safe. However, my best laid plan was based on the assumption that maybe somebody would turn a faucet on in the house and maybe draw down a gallon. With my pump servicing 40 to 60 gallons a minute, I knew there'd be no problem filling that up. I continued on with my project, made all my fittings. About 6:30 that night, we made the last glue fitting. I had to wait a couple hours to let that dry glue, or the glue dry, so I don't blow the line out. I went to dinner, came back, very excited to turn on the water and inspect my work. Turn on the water, and along with those plans, turned the power on to the hot water heater and started my inspection. No leaks. No leaks. Very rare for me. No leaks. I go in the house, I'm happy, full. My wife says, there's an awful lot of air in these lines. I said, that's to be expected. We did a lot of cutting and gluing today, and there's a lot of air in those lines. She said, we also have no hot water. Oh man, I fried an element. No problem, I've done it before. I took a cold shower. The next morning, I drained the hot water heater with my hose, which is all prepared, and head off to Home Depot. It takes about an hour to drain the tank, so I knew I had plenty of time. Went to Home Depot, got an element, figured while the system was down, I'd also put a new valve in, so I could isolate the tank completely and never drain it again. Get back home, the tank's drained, I take out the elements, and they're perfectly good. Now I'm puzzled. I start to scan the system to see what else may have been wrong, and I saw this little red button that said reset. I push the button and click. Oh, I took a cold shower, burned an hour and $100 at Home Depot, drained my tank, disassembled the tank, and all I had to do is push the reset button. You know, could it get any worse? But I was okay with it because it was going to be upgraded with the new valve. I put it all back together, went to connect the hot water heater to the new valve, and the nipple's too short. Oh, man. Could it get any worse? This time my wife comes out of the house. She says, how's it going, honey? I said, I'm going to spend my whole day at Home Depot. She says, no problem, I'm going to town anyway, I'll get you a new fitting. Excellent, so off to my irrigation project I went. She comes back in a couple hours, I install the fitting, charge the line, checking for leaks. The bottom element has a leak. Oh man, I'm thinking, this project, first I had no leaks, now I got nothing but leaks. So I hook up my hose and I start draining it, and I thought, well, maybe I'll take my fitting here and just tighten it up. So I tighten it up as hard as I can, and it's leaking worse. Sometimes that'll happen with the rubber fitting. So my project's drained here. I get another idea. I'll sand the metal where the rubber touches, and maybe it'll seal. Excited to get going on it, I instrumented the fitting, 40 gallons of water coming at me. I completely lost my mind, forgot that the element was inserted into the tank. But the bright side, instead of draining an hour, it drained in 2 minutes. I sanded the metal, put it all back together, no leaks. So I've amended my best laid plan. Before turning the power on, I drain all the air out of the system. And if the hot water heater ever fails, the first thing I check is the little red button.